So now if you actually go to Google and be like, what is a furry? Because I looked it up a few ways. There's a lot of videos by furry YouTubers and things like that. Like, my child's a furry. What does it mean? What do I do? All this stuff. And it's people, you know, like us trying to explain. It's just a hobby, like anything else. And so when you're coming to your friends and telling them, hey, I'm a furry, you know, I like to dress up as a dog or a cat or whatever, they might have seen this. They might have seen this and been like, oh, God, no. They're thinking you're into this crazy stuff that they write about. I included some stuff from Whisper that I found. It was quite cringy about wearing your collar and tail in public. And they're like, I go to the mall, I wear my collar and tail, and everyone thinks I'm crazy. And I'm like, yes, that's because that's out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
You go to the mall painted with your face half black and half gold, and you're a UCF fan, and you're like, ah, running through the mall. Everyone's going to think you're crazy too.
Yeah.
But you're a sports fan.
I mean, if you go to the one right next to UCF,
no
some people, people will understand-ish, but it's just because it's a local thing, you know? Yeah. Just like if you come to a convention dressed up, nobody's going to care. None of us are going to care. It's expected, you know?
But you go to Walmart in your fursuit, that's a little weird.
You go to FSU dressed up, you know, all UCF'd up, though.
Oh, don't do that, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the next slide. Now, luckily, most of the time when you tell someone you're a furry, they have no idea what that is. Most people have never heard of furries. Now, for you younger people who live in the generation where everyone's on the internet.
And everybody knows what a furry is.
Everyone knows what a furry is. You guys have friends at school, they know what furries are. Of course, they're probably hearing all the bad stuff, and they're like, oh my God, you're a furry? You think you're a dog? Oh my God. But if you're telling your parents, most of the time your parents have no idea what a furry is. My parents didn't.
Yeah, my parents didn't. My parents, all they cared about was, are you doing drugs? No. All right, cool.
That's how my parents are. I was lucky. You know, my little sister over there, she makes fursuits. She started making fursuits. How old were you when you started with cardboard?
I was 15.
So she started making fursuits.
24.
Yeah, she's now 24. We've been doing this for a while. And our parents thought it was really cool that she was making these suits. They're like, oh, I don't. And Tori's like, oh, it's furries, and they dress up, and they're just like, I don't know what that is. Okay, you're making cool stuff. That's neat. And I've even showed my parents videos from conventions of like fursuit parades, and my mom sits there and her exact words are, she's like, you and your friends are really weird, but you know, you could be doing a lot worse, so whatever. As long as you're not doing drugs.
I sent my mom photos of me with, you know, like people in the fursuits that I really like their suit. I was like, send it to my mom, having a great time. She's like, oh, that's cute, honey, thanks.
Yeah, most of them, they don't know, and they're kind of apathetic about it, as long as you're not doing drugs, apparently.
Yeah, that's like the big thing that most parents worry about, honestly.
Just say no, children. Remember Dare? He was a furry. He was a lion.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
It failed.
I'm sad for the kids. You guys don't get Dare anymore. We had Big Anthro Lion told us not to do drugs.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
All right. So, because of this, when you encounter someone who has no idea what a furry is, they're going to base their entire image of what a furry is based on you.
Mm-hmm.
Just you. How you act, how you are, what do you explain it to them as, they're going to be like, oh, that's what a furry is. Because they've never heard of it.
Right.
So that's why you got to be a good example for the people that have never heard of them. And that's how you can help change things. Let's move on to the next slide. What we got? Okay, so just different kinds of reactions.
Yeah.
I think I wrote notes.
I mean, the apathetic is pretty much going to be pretty much anybody who doesn't know what it is. They're going to mostly be apathetic about it. They're not going to care.
Whatever. That's cool. Don't try to force it on them. Be like, hey, wear a collar for me, or you wear a tail and be part of this with me. They're gonna be like,
yeah.
Nah.
Don't be forceful. Treat, you know, don't treat it any different than, like, you know, telling your friend who doesn't know what anime is about your favorite episode of Boku no Hero. You know, like.
Good show.
Fantastic
see,
show.
I don't even watch anime, so
Yeah.
no.
So see, she doesn't watch anime.
Furries are diverse. We're
Yeah, but if I was over here talking about how Midori is such a good boy, he's the best boy. Why don't you love him?
I watched Pokemon when I was a kid. So, yeah, I mean, or like, you know, trying to get your parents to play video games. Like, Mom, I really like BioShock or whatever. They're like, that's nice, honey. And then they go about their day.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be like, play BioShock with me. I tried to get my dad to play Halo with me once. That was a good time. It looked like this. I didn't do
My mom's the one that bought all the war game systems for herself.
That's how my my mom.
That's her mom completely.
Mom. So, yeah, most of the time you're going to get people that don't really care, and that's okay. They don't have to care. You don't have to shove it in their face, you know, as long as they're not like, don't do this.
Yeah.
It's all right. However, sometimes, especially the younger ones with your friends, you might get people who are concerned, people who will make fun of you because of things that they've heard. You might even get supportive people, you know, especially parents like we had. They supported it because it was a creative outlet.
Right.
And it can have a lot of benefits to those who are in the community, which we'll talk about later. I have a slide about that.
Right. And of course, that's, you know, what you want to do, like with, what is it? You want to tell people about how it's a creative outlet, you know, maybe even give them, you know, a few examples of some really great, there's a lot of actually big time furry artists that do art for like large communities. Magic the Gathering there's a lot of artists that do art for Magic the Gathering that are within the community. You know, so you just like find those good examples to be able to show the people who are like a little confused or maybe concerned. You know, we have, I mean, we'll get to in a bit, but we have a group, Agents of Mirth, that is, you know, out there spreading a positive influence to the community. But for people who get a little bit more, you know, aggressive about it, maybe, don't get defensive. That's the worst thing that you can do. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's just kind of, I didn't know how to separate my slides very well.
That's fine.
But yeah, so you might get a lot of different kinds of reactions. Most of the time it's going to be, I don't know what that is, which is good, because then you can tell them what that is. Some reactions, however, and this is where it gets a little more serious, can be compounded based on other factors, such as finding out your gender identity or your orientation.
Yeah.
As it's happened with a lot of my friends. I know my friend Bo, who I think is eating right now, his mom found out about the furry thing the same time she found out that he was gay. Being an only son, and now, you know, the prospect of having his own grandbabies, she was very upset. Compounds with the furry thing, they think it might be connected, and so a lot of times you'll get reactions based on that as well. And usually it's not connected, it just happens to be found out at the same time, and they're like, well, the furries, did they make you gay? No, Mom, he's always gay. Promise. So it's, it's
not something that just suddenly happens.
Yeah, as we all know. So that is something you have to take into account as well, and if it is compounded with something like that, especially if it's your family, your friends, you know, if they're your friends, they're going to be supportive. If not, you don't need that negativity in your life. It's all good. But if it's your family, you got to kind of approach it a little more sensitively, because you got to see where they're coming from. And I know that some families are not super supportive of certain things like that. But most of the time, you got to kind of let them, can't throw everything at them all.
Right.
Once, you know
And also don't treat it like it's something, yeah, like it's a coming out, like, you know, treat it like, like I said, like no different from like, you know, liking anime or, yeah, being a D&D nerd or just being really into sports even.
Yeah. Never say, I'm coming out. Never.
Or never approach it as a, I need to tell you something.
Yeah.
Don't ever approach it that way, because that immediately gets people put on this like, oh God, it's something bad.
What? That's really like, oh God, what? Especially I've seen them be like, Mom, you need to sit down, I need to tell you something. And they're like, oh my God. Oh, are you pregnant? Yeah, no, don't make it, don't start out making it sound like a huge deal, because it's not. It's a hobby. It's your thing, it's you do, it's fun.
Yeah.
Don't be like, this is going to change everything about life, and there is,
because it doesn't change anything about life at all.
All right, go to the next slide, because I think that's what we talked about there. Oh yeah, so here's what we're talking about with reactions. So.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Don't get defensive.
Don't get defensive. Getting defensive always will just make it worse. First off, when somebody's upset about something, getting defensive about the subject is just gonna basically be like egging them on. Basically, they're just gonna feel like they have justification for getting upset if you get defensive or get upset in return at them. You know, so you want to stay calm. You know, maybe just let them rant for a little bit. You know, just kind of like just sit there, be chill, don't freak out, and then once they're done with their rant, you know, maybe
they're calm-headed.
Yeah.
They've got it out of their system, basically.
Right.
So I've sat through, because I am not shy about people knowing I'm a furry. It's not the first thing I'm gonna tell them, because that's kind of weird. Just be like, Hi, I'm Molly. I like to dress as a shark on the weekends. Nice to meet you. It'd be weird like that. Hi, Dane. Nice to meet you.
Hi,
I play
nice to meet
D&D
you.
every Friday.
Yeah, it's Monday, actually.
Sorry, whatever. Sunday sometimes if you guys come over.
Yeah.
I don't play. I can't commit to that. It's too much for me. It sounds fun, though. I like to listen to them yell.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We get pretty wild.
So, wild D&D. It's a crazy night, you guys. Rolling to 20s. All right.
Hey, you haven't met Dorf the Barbarian.
I have. She's my sister. All right. So I've sat through many times where people have, because I'll bring it up. They'll be like, "Oh, what are you doing the weekend?" We'll be talking about weekend plans. Like, "Oh, I'm going to a convention." "Oh, what kind of convention?" How many of you have been asked that? "Oh, what kind of convention?" You're like, cosplay, anime, How many of you have been like, "Oh, it's a furry convention," just like you would say?
Yeah, raise your hand, like just like anybody else.
I say it loud and proud. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Good.
And how many people try to dodge the subject and just make it seem like it's something completely different?
Yeah.
Okay, so a little bit more than not. Okay.
Yeah. So a few semesters ago, I was taking calculus with this guy. He was a freshman. He was very in on the internet and everything. He knew what furries were and thought they were cringy, you know, "Oh, furries, blah, blah," all this stuff. And we were talking about something. I forgot. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, this is me." And he's like, "Those are furries." I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm a furry." Anyway, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, and he just sat there just thinking. Because we were
just collapsed.
they're just like, he's like,
Normal?
"This person seemed fine before. Now I don't know how to handle." Because at first because I was like, "Oh, you know, what do you think about like furries?" And he's like, "Oh, I think they're weird, you know, furries. They're just weird. I had a friend that was a furry, and then like he just was so cringy and blah blah." And I was like, "Yeah, da, da, da." And like then he finds out I'm a furry, and then he's just kind of like he'd be in class and he'd be like, "You know, I don't think furries are that bad. It's just kind of it's not my thing, but like whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
That's how a lot of people are
pretty
going to
much
be.
exactly
if you
how it
approach it as it's like anything else you can be into.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how a lot of people end up, because it blows their mind when you have someone who is your friend, thinks you're a cool person, thinks you're a cool dude, they hang out, all that stuff, and then suddenly they find out that you have a persona and you are a dog or a dragon, and they're like, "Hang on a minute." They're like, "I thought furries were all these like weird old guys that just are like really weird and think they're animals." And they're like, "My friend's cool though. And he's a dog though?" And it makes me feel good for a little bit, which is why you don't get defensive, because they might have questions.
Yeah.
But then they'll be like, "My entire mind is blown because I actually met a furry and they're not this weird thing I thought they were,
and
because my friend's cool."
Suddenly opens their mind to a new idea of like furries just being
Lamp?
normal people. Lamp.
Lamp. In here, you saw the lady that was sitting up here. Thrash, her boyfriend, was a longtime furry in our group long before I was. She came into the group knowing nothing about furries. She was kind of like, eh. And now she's got her own persona. She wants a fursuit. She's a little lamb. Lamp, our lamp man, you may have seen around. He's got a twin brother, whose name's Bio. He's a wolf. Lamp wasn't about the furry
Should probably
thing.
be coming out here in a little bit.
Yeah, if they get done eating. So
Ever.
So Lamp's brother, he's a wolf. Lamp's like, "I don't know, I don't really feel like I'm a furry." He's like, I'm a lamp."
Yeah.
And it's a joke he took too far. Now he's got a suit and everything.
Oh yeah. You might see him around. He's got a whole lamp head, lights up. It's pretty fantastic.
So you might find that your friends, especially, this is the funny thing. The ones you find that seem most like, "Oh my God, you're a furry, I can't believe that," are very often closet furries themselves. Like 9 times out of 10, that friend loves furry stuff, but they just like can't admit it to themselves. They can't be like, "I'm not a furry."
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's the same way with like people who are still like super anti-gay, but like, you know, secretly they got their boyfriend online over here.
Yeah.
You know.
or more so, like I had a friend in high school, the biggest Inuyasha nerd you've ever seen.
Oh, really?
But when we got into high school, she became very obsessed with being popular. Tori, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yes, I know.
And she started dressing like very sensual, and anytime anyone brought up anything about anime, she's like, "Anime's for nerds, I don't like that." She had the entire Dragon Ball Z manga collection, the entire Inuyasha collection. She knew every anime anyone ever brought up, and I didn't. I was like, "I'm know what you're talking about. She's like, oh, that anime's stupid. And I'm like, I've never even heard of it. She's like, yeah, me either. And I was like, why? Just like, you can be like hot and also like anime. You know what I mean? Like, you can do both. Humans are amazingly diverse beings. You can like sports and anime. You can be a Chad like this guy.
You want to fight?
And be a furry. Chad strut. Okay,
anyways, no. But actually, I have a question. Has anybody actually like come across somebody at one of these conventions who was not here for the convention and is just looking around in awe and like actually walked up and talked to them?
Is that the people in the pool?
I met somebody at the restaurant.
Oh, we've heard of
like,
Dennis
these guys are awesome.
1 year at
Yeah. See?
Not exactly here, but
like, but
the local furs, we have our own meats.
Mm-hmm.
At the place we go to, there was like, I want to say she was 60 years old. She came out, she approached one of our locals, I think his name's Pooch, and she's like, can you like explain to me this whole thing, because it looks interesting. It's like it's actually fascinating. I'm like, oh, it's the one with the good normies. Okay.
No, see, actually, that's actually been the reaction more than not in my case, because I love seeking out those people at conventions like this. That is my favorite thing to do.
We're Charles Xavier of furries.
Yeah.
We have a special group for weirdos like you. Join us.
Well, no, I like finding the ones that aren't part of the furry community.
Oh, see, I've like.
She finds the furries at UCF. She does. She knows how to find them. You know, whereas I'll come to these conventions and I love to just seek out the people who are here like on a normal vacation, and suddenly, you know, they're wrapped up in a furry convention, you know, and 9 times out of 10, their reactions, good. All right, but a lot of times, 9 out of 10, their reactions are actually, you know, they're just very curious, and a lot of times they're like, oh man, everybody's been so nice. Oh, I don't know what they are, but those suits are so cool looking. They're so cute. You know, I got some pictures with them, and then they'll just like want to know, like, what is this? What is this all about? You know, and they're just so curious about it, and they usually they have a great time. There was a couple at FWA last year that got trapped on the elevator with me, you know, and so yes, it was. Because they were up in the suites, and I was up there visiting one of my friends, and on the way down, they were just really curious as to what they had planned this vacation like a year in advance, and they were just expecting a quiet little getaway together, you know, in this hotel, yeah, and then all of a sudden this happened, and they're like, we weren't expecting it, but honestly, like, this was on the Sunday. It's like, honestly, we had a great time. Everybody's been so like nice, and it's been like so great. You know, everybody's so happy and, you know, energetic down there, and those suits are really cool looking. And, you know, like most of the time, you know, people who have no idea what it is, when they come to these or show up at these conventions without knowing anything, like their reaction is very positive. I think I only came across one person ever, and that was this year's FWA, that had a negative reaction, but they were these big old stuffy stiff suit people. I spent $60,000 on this watch. Yeah, please, I spent about $65,000 on this pocket watch. You know, right? It's just like
people at the propane convention at FWA this past year. They came into the dance. They wanted to be part of like the furry thing so bad. There were some that were like, "Where can I get some ears?" And I was just like, "Join us."
And a lot of people that don't get out, a lot of people that don't get out, you know, to a lot of the conventions, you know, the people who pretty much just sit online and do their furry thing online, but they don't bring it outside. They don't see those reactions, you know. They only see, you know, the really those really cringy RP public postings that, yes. You know, but I mean, most of those are done by kids anyways, so of course it's going to be a little cringy. But
that's the thing. When you're online and you're just part of the online community,
they really only see the negative stuff. They don't get to see like a lot of the positive stuff unless they seek it out.
Because most of the negative stuff happens online. He was mentioning earlier Agents of Mirth. We do a lot of public suiting. There's quite a few agents in here, and most of the time, people in the public have no idea what we are, and then they're like, this is really exciting. I've had people that are like, how can we find out more? I mean, I don't remember, Deborah, how did you come into our organization?
I was friends with Barry and Tim, and I was doing volunteer work, and I liked helping, and I was a cosplayer. That's right.
Not a furry.
Oh my God, a cosplayer. And I went, well, this is interesting. We could make it, because some of them in costumes couldn't speak, and the people would come up and say, who are you and what do you do? And they, you know, they do their little thing, and I would step in and be their voice. Well, they're doing this, and they're helping with that. Aren't they amazing? And you sucked me in.
Yeah, and now that's her first suit. She's just got Mystic Sapphire.
This is Mystic.
He is simulated well. All right, click the next slide.
Yes, on to the next one.
All right.
Almost through, almost to the question segment.
Yeah. We're going to talk about a few do's and don'ts. So you do want to bring it up to people like it's a normal thing. Don't just be like, I'm a furry. Which is why I actually titled this panel the way I did. Well, everyone, I'm furry. Because that is not a good way to do it. Because they're going to be like, why are you so nervous? Oh my God, this must be terrible. This must be
Are you sick?
Thing. Yeah. So definitely bring up how it benefits you. A lot of people are into furries for a lot of different reasons. Some people are here because they like the art. Some people are here because they like to make the art. Some people are here because they like to perform. They dress up. Being in costume. I know a lot of you feel a lot more confident when you're in a fursuit than out of it.
Yeah, your friend Bo that you were talking about earlier, he had a big issue with being in front of people for the longest time. Yeah.
For like months when he first joined our group, he'd come around and not speak. Now he won't shut up. I love him. He's my child.
But him getting into a fursuit really helped out a lot.
Gosh, in fursuit, he goes up to everyone. He's bouncing around, having a good time. And I'm sure a lot of you have experienced that, where you're a little more shy, but you put the suit on and suddenly, I'm a shark. How you doing? Everybody likes me. And that's kind of how it goes. Come on in. Don't worry.
Come on in. Yeah.
Don't be shy. We're all furries here.
Grab a seat, sit down, get comfortable.
I don't know where to sit.
Wherever you want.
Plenty of seats everywhere.
So definitely when you're bringing it up to people, talk about like how it benefits you. You know, finding community. There's something to be said about finding people with a common interest that you just mesh with. My best friend in the world I found through furries, and it's not even starting.
Same extra. No,
it's okay.
It's fine. Ness is my bestie, so.
Okay, that's fine. Daichi, my purple fox.
Yeah. I could never be as good as him anyways.
I know.
Nobody could.
Nobody can. That's he's like my soulmate on the most platonic level. And I found him through this, and like we do other stuff besides furries. We talk about 3D printing. He shows me, he like teaches me things, and we, you know, there's a lot of interest outside of it, but there's something to be said about the community having that one binding factor, the fact that you're all into this furry thing together, right? And that gives you a sense of belonging, a sense of place, which is really important.
It is.
Especially when you're younger and you're trying to figure out where you do belong, what group you belong in, because humans, we're not solitary creatures. We like to belong in.
As much as some people like to say that they are solitary creatures.
It's not true.
It's not true.
It's not.
They need at least one person in their life.
Exactly. So you find a group. That's why people love being on, like, fans of sports teams. You're not playing the sport, but God, do you love getting with your buddies and yelling about making a touchdown? You know what I mean? You love getting with a furry and screaming at the dance competition. Yeah. Watching people do awesome moves and stuff. Like, it is a good time. You feel connected. So
watching the fursuit parade and just pointing out your favorite suits.
Yeah, all the dragons.
Everybody screaming over Majira.
Yeah, see here. No, everyone was screaming over Lamp when we went by.
It's true.
They're like, Lamp!
It's true. I was screaming over Lamp. Lamp's my favorite. I'm a diehard fan.
All right. So you want to talk about like the fact that there is a community, there's a support community. You can make a lot of friends. I'm amazed at the friends I've made in the community. Outside of the furry thing, they're just amazing people, and you will find more amazing people in the community. And it's just you end up brought together by that one thing. What else did I put on there? The self-confidence and artistic growth. For those of you that are into the art, which I'm sure a lot of you are in one way or another, whether it be costume making, drawing, making music, even just performance, dance, anything, doing improv, voiceovers, making YouTube videos, anything, any kind of media you make, the community is there for you.
Mm-hmm.
You have people that will watch it, people that will enjoy it, people that will bring you up. It's a beautiful thing. And I mean, had I not found the community, I probably would have never learned to sew. Me and Tori would have never made a fursuit. Most of my art has been within the realm of furries. And
there's whole groups out there that just like are there specifically to support you as you are growing as an artist.
Yeah, exactly. So there are, like, definitely bring up the benefits. What you gotta say?
I was gonna say also you could bring in the fact that you could gain like monetary gain from it.
Oh god, yeah, there's so much monetary gain in the community. Yes, like this one right up here. She used to go to just like anime cons, and she would make like, you know, she comes to a furry con once and suddenly she's making bank, you know.
I found as a commissioner, honestly, I don't know what it is about furries. They have a lot of money or something, but furries love to buy furry things.
Well, it's because they like the art. They have an appreciation for art, which is one thing the community did for me. It helped me get an appreciation for art.
He spends all his money on art, mostly from Tori.
Yeah, it's true. She's my favorite artist.
So, yeah, definitely bring up the fact that there are a lot of benefits outside of, I like to dress like a dog. There's a lot more to it.
There's way more to it.
Way more to it. And some people, you know what, some people are furries and never want a fursuit, and that's fine.
That's fine, yeah.
You don't have to have a fursuit to be a furry.
I mean, this is my partial right here, you know.
Yeah. Hey, mine too.
Yeah.
I just, it's fun, but some people, they don't want to wear a costume, and you don't have to. You don't have to do any of that. All right, now don'ts. You want to talk about don'ts?
Yeah.
No,
Slime slide.
Go back, drive.
Go back. But yeah, I mean, like, yeah, don't be acting like it's a secret. It's not a secret. It's not a big deal. It's really not. I have maybe met, I've come across a couple friends who have had you know, somewhat negative reactions when I told them that I was a furry. But I would just bring it up casually as I was talking about things that I've been doing over the past, you know, couple months since I've seen them last. You know, at first, like, ugh, you know, that's kind of gross. I'm like, no, not really. See, look, this is the kind of stuff that we do. I just show them photos from the cons, you know, from the stuff that we do with the Agents of Mirth, you know, and you know, and at first, you know, they're gonna be a little like, ugh, especially if they already have that negative, you know, idea in their head. But after some time of just, you know, being normal about it, like, they just don't care. They just stop. They realize, you know, it's not worth getting upset over this with my friend. Exactly.
Yeah, but when you bring it up as a secret and, like, you act like, no one can know, people will think there's a reason you don't want people to know, and that reason must be bad. When in your mind, you're like, they know these horrible stereotypes, and they're going to think I'm a freak, and you're projecting what you think they're going to think, and that's wrong.
And that's what causes them to start thinking that.
That's what causes them to start thinking it's some dark secret that needs to be kept. Now, I have met people that are like, it is a dark secret. Yes, there is an adult side to the community.
Yeah, that
we
there
have
is.
to address it. There is. However, why would you bring that up? Why would you be like, hey, I'm a furry and these are my kinks?
That's like you know, being an anime nerd and being like, hey, I'm an anime nerd and this is my favorite hentai.
Yeah.
You know, you don't do that. You know, it's weird.
So, like, yeah, there's an adult side to it, but you don't have to bring it up. It's just like in casual conversation.
No,
Yeah,
I
no,
certainly don't. I don't want to know about
anything, anything. If you go to Spencer's and you look at the little lingerie section, schoolgirls, football outfits, anything you can think of. Cheerleaders. There's an adult side to everything.
Yes.
Furries are just more open about it for whatever reason, and that's what makes people think it's just furries. Get out more, please. It's not just furries.
It's definitely not more just furries.
So don't project your fears and your beliefs of what they believe onto them, because they probably don't think that at all. And a huge one, don't equate it to coming out, which we already talked about. That just makes it sound like it's a much bigger deal than it is. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't be like, I came out to my parents as a furry. And I'm like, you're not coming out, it's a hobby. You don't come out as, I came out to my parents as an FPS player. Maybe you should. I came out to my parents as a Fortnite player.
I play. Oh, that might be a coming out, maybe. It's a little different.
D&D nerd. I came out as a UF fan, which would, you know, might get me disowned.
That might get you disowned. Being a UF fan, considering she's a UCF student.
No, my dad's an FSU fan. I don't know why. I don't know why he cares. He doesn't even watch football that much.
But anyways, now we can do the next slide.
All right, now we do.
All right.
So what can you do about changing perceptions?
Yes.
You read no one.
All right. So, you know, like first, like we covered already, you want to talk about all the beneficial changes that it brings to your life and the people around you, your friends, you know, that within the community. You know, it helps you not only find friends and a sense of community, but it helps expand on that. It helps you with your social skills. It, you know, like for me, like my social skills just skyrocketed as soon as I joined the community because everybody is so accepting and what it makes it's a lot easier to talk to people at these cons because you know you already have something to connect with, and from there it helps you expand on your social skills. So it helps you learn how to talk to normal people even if you don't have that instant connection like you do. No, you're right. I shouldn't use that word. I shouldn't use that word, but that is the way the community talks for the most part. When I say normal people, obviously I just mean people outside of the community. We're all normal people, you know, because there's no such thing as like normal versus weird. Everybody's weird in their own ways. Everybody's normal in their own ways. You know, it just depends on the people that you're around. Exactly. What is normal?
Normal is nothing. It doesn't exist. It's an idea. So we talked also about learning some skills.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because there's so many places people will help you. I mean, there's panels on like being a furry YouTuber, or you know what I mean. Like there's panels to help you learn, or not panels, just in
there are panels too.
There are panels.
Yeah.
In the community, there are people, there are chat rooms, there are forums, there are all kinds of things to help you learn how to make a fursuit, how to, you know, upload your first YouTube video, how to talk to people, how to make art, how to do this, how to do that.
We should get to the questions soon.
Yeah, we're gonna go.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say we want to get to questions soon. We got plenty of time still.
You think of these things as just like in the realm of furry, right? Like, oh, I learned to make a fursuit. It's just like a furry. That's a lot of life skill you just learned. You know how many people have no idea how to sew? They get a hole in their pants and they're like, well, I guess I gotta get new pants. Whereas you're like, I made a fursuit once. My pants are fine. I just sewed it back together. You know what I mean? There are a lot of life skills that you can learn.
Absolutely.
What mystifies me is making the head though, you know?
There's a lot.
That is probably the hardest part.
That's the hardest part.
Honestly, out of the whole suit.
Yeah. So another benefit of the community is the fact that it is a creative outlet. If you have nothing to like express yourself, you know what I mean? There's no way, there's no self-expression, there's no creative outlet. You're gonna sit and probably become very bitter and bored or upset or angry. And it gives you a way to express yourself. You know, I draw myself as a shark. She does funny little things. And then I'm like, oh, okay, now I feel justified to take a nap or something. You know what I mean? Like, but another
That's very you.
Yeah, I love naps. I would nap all day if I could. I should be a cat. So another huge thing that furries do, and it's very big in our community actually, but no one seems to talk about it that much, is how we give back to the community. Megaplex on its own here is supporting the Care Foundation. We've got charity auctions. We do a lot here to support outside of the community that has nothing to do with furries. They take in wildlife, you know what I mean? Which I mean, it's animals. We all love animals, I would hope.
I would hope so.
And every convention, just about every convention has a charity that it benefits. There are a lot of charity fursuiting groups as well out there. We aren't alone with Agents of Mirth.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, the whole community itself donates millions upon millions of dollars every year to a bunch of different charities.
Our own local group with Agents of Mirth. There's quite a few of us in here, so we were going to bring it up. And that's actually what helped our friend Bo normalize the furry thing to his parents. And what a lot of our agents have actually done to help them normalize. They're like, oh, I do this stuff, I dress up, I go out and support charities, I make people smile. Yeah. And then parents are like, oh, that's really nice, you're helping the community.
Yeah, that's the example that I give my parents too. I just show them everything. I just said, go to agentsofmirth.com. And she just went there, looked at their stuff. She's like, oh, that's what you're doing? Cool. All right, I like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to help outside of furries, and that helps change the public perception. We've done a lot to change people's idea of what a furry is with our community.
I mean, we have an open invite in was City of Cocoa?
Yeah, the City of Cocoa. You guys know Cocoa Beach? So the City of Cocoa over there, the mayor has a picture of us in fursuit on her desk. We have an open invite to do any events we want, and they supply an off-duty police officer to chaperone so the public knows that we're supposed to be there. Like, they love us. Most of our events this year that we've done, we have been invited to do. because everyone loves it. Everyone's like, can you guys please come? We have a lot of kids and they're gonna be bored. Come make them smile and laugh. And we're like, all right.
And that's what we do.
There. And that's what we do. And people honestly, they love it. And then when you're out and you're doing this and you're helping people with your own interest, they're gonna base their entire idea of what a furry is on you. And now they are like, wow, furries are really good people. They came out and they do this charity stuff. Furries are okay. And then the next time someone's like, I'm a furry, they're like, hey, that's cool. I like those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So.
Watch the CSI episode.
No. That is lies.
Or the Tyra Banks.
Yeah.
Also lies. It is that bad. Go watch it if you want.
It's really bad.
All right.
Next.
So let's questions.
Yeah, so now on to the questions. For the rest of the panel, we'll be answering any questions or concerns. Yes.
I am actually curious about this Tyra Banks episode.
I actually have not watched that one.
Daichi was telling me about it. I couldn't find it online, but apparently they had someone on there that was like crawling around and barking at people and acting like it. Oh, it was a couple, I think, that was on there, and it was all about. They were saying that they're furries and they're into it because they're into the adult side and they're like mersuits and stuff. And it's that furries are all about sex and suit, and it's not. And that's what a lot of people have seen too. And it's like,
oh, the Tyra Banks episode actually.
Isn't that what that one
people
is?
That were on that, and the thing about it was.
I heard they got a lot of
the
hate.
interview was about 3 times longer than what they showed.
No, they only cut the exciting stuff.
What?
They only cut the exciting stuff to show us.
Oh yeah, no. They cut out
things.
parts, and a lot of it was also leading questions, trying to lure them into that stuff, and of course, because they went in unprepared, they fell for it, hook, line, and sinker.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a show. I don't think it was My Strange Addiction, but it's one about people with weird.
Is it the taboo?
Oh, it was My Strange Addiction.
Oh,
It was following like what was she like a teenager, early 20s?
She was a teenager.
She was a furry. And the show made it look like she was this weird outcast loner child that wears her fursuit every day. But in reality, she has lots of friends. She does not wear her fursuit every day. She wears it on rare occasions like most people. But the show cuts it and edits it to make it look like, oh, this person's crazy. She's dressed like a dog every day. She won't go anywhere without it. And has no friends. And like, it's like subtle. Who is that? Do you know who that YouTube?
Just to add to that, the
Abergwine?
producers even asked her themselves to wear her fursuit out, and she expressly said that she was uncomfortable in many of the situations that they had her filming in her fursuit. So they really embellish it and make it try to look like
It's much worse than.
Yeah, it's the shock
it's a
value.
bad
You're gonna
thing.
get ratings
Yeah.
that way. You don't want to watch some normal person who's like, yeah, I dress up as a dog on occasion and I like art. I hang out with my friends and I go to school and I also like I'm on the swim team. Like, boring, regular everyday stuff. That doesn't sell TV.
Yes.
On a positive note,
Yes.
how long have you had the organization at UCF, and what's the name of it, and can anyone join it as students at that college?
Yeah, well, not even just at the college. Anybody that's local to UCF can join the
You're talking
group.
about the Telegram.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a Telegram group that's just
UCFers.
And it's for anyone that's local to the UCF area. The RSO hasn't been established completely yet. It's a very long process.
Very long process.
I'm at the end though, so hopefully this semester.
working on it.
Yeah, it'll
Yes.
be. It's called Knights of the Paw.
Yeah, we're calling it
And,
Knights of the Paw.
Knights of the Paw.
Yes.
And we're gonna be a school-funded official furry club, and we're gonna get the fursuit on campus. We're gonna do a lot of charity events with the club. I'm very excited.
What if I'm not going to UCF?
Or somebody different this time.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I know you already discussed like the disgust that people will have as a reaction.
Yeah.
But I've been once I come out, I've just been not come out. That's a bad term. No, but how do you deal with hate online and just the people who?
How do you deal with trolls online?
I mean,
Ignore
honestly,
them.
There's so much you can do online because people get online. They have that on anonymity.
Anonymity, yeah.
Yes. Also, a lot of people that troll furries online are furries. I have seen.
It's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So block them, ignore them. Honestly, they aren't worth your time. I've started going through on Twitter. I'm on a lot. If people are saying things that just irritate me or whatever, I just mute the conversation. I'm like, I want art and I want pictures of cute fursuits on my timeline, and that's all I want.
Well, you
Sometimes
also like the kittens.
and pictures of cats.
In 2 words, the best way to deal with any troll: keep scrolling.
Yep.
Yeah, just honestly, just ignore them, block them, just be like, that's nice, dude. Sorry your life is so boring that you have time to just bully people online. Like, what are you even doing?
You gotta remember that if somebody's taking time out of their day to bully you, that means that either something really crappy happened to them already, or they're just really boring.
They're just really bored. You got better things to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely.
You're welcome.
All right.
Hi, so
Hang on. We'll go you, and then we'll get you.
Yeah, we'll get you next.
All right.
so part of my uniform where I go to work is you wear a badge at work. What are your thoughts on bringing like con badges to work?
That I would say depends on your boss.
Yeah.
I used to be a kayaking tour guide, so we were very casual because it was a family business. I even wore my fursuit once just to show them, and they were like, "That's really weird and funny," and I'm like, "Cool." So it just kind of depends. If you do choose to do one, make sure it's not one that's like really.
Yeah.
Yeah, no saucy badges. Something probably small.
Maybe something a little more cuter
Perfect,
side.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
G-rated,
G-rated,
100%.
Yeah, so I would talk to your boss about that, because that's
Yeah.
really dependent.
Yeah, definitely make sure your boss is cool with it before you do it.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you had a question.
Comment. Just more or less also found like how more news programs have been saying like this is what Furry is and actually doing a really good job at doing it.
Yes, they have. Some reporters have been coming up and fighting back against the negative reports about furries, and they're like, "No, we went to this con and everything was great. There was no weird stuff happening at all, actually."
Yeah.
Then again, you also had the one news report about the news reporters trying to get about the MFF 2012 incident.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Anytime something like that happens, the news is gonna blow it out of proportion.
What happened
and
to
that's-
that?
It was the smoke bomb, I think.
Yeah, it was a chlorine gas.
Oh, wow.
that someone
Of
did.
course, it was somebody at the con
Yeah, it
themselves
was-
that
it
ended up
was
doing
a
it.
con-goer that did
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Like we said, a lot of the negative stuff is from the people.
From people within it. And
Exactly.
on that note, because there are a lot of younger furries here, I was really upset because there was I think she's 14. We met at Cosography.
Mhm.
You remember Deborah, the girl that made the fursuits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, she wasn't allowed to come because she said that an older furry told her that Megaplex was not a place for children, and she needed to wait a few years before she was allowed to go to a con.
No.
Now, I was
Megaplex
like,
is
all
very
of us
family
were
friendly.
like, yeah, Megaplex is extremely family friendly. Second, it sounds like that furry just didn't want more kids. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have had to experience hate from older furries being like, "Oh, you're a little kid, get out of my fandom." You know what I mean? Ignore them. They're sad and lonely. The fandom, you guys are the future of the fandom. I remember I was like 15 when I heard about AnthroCon. I still didn't know what a furry was, but I loved anthro art, and that's all I drew. And they were like, AnthroCon, it's a convention, and it's all anthro art stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I wanted to go. I would have loved to go. I couldn't go, but I wanted to go really bad. Don't let the haters get to you. Let them be. They're just grumpy.
Yeah.
Kids are very welcome in the fandom. So.
And
just
at this point,
take
they
that.
make up the majority.
Yeah, actually,
So.
it's more younger people now that's making up the majority.
Absolutely.
Furry is becoming more and more mainstream, which I think is why we're having news channels, like you said, coming out and being like, no, furries are actually fine.
Yeah.
Our group, Agents of Mirth, we ended up in the local Florida Today newspaper. They followed us around. They came to Megaplex last year. Some of you might have remembered them. Reporters walking around filming, doing live streams on Facebook, and followed us around. They loved us. Her name is Jennifer.
Yes.
Jen Sengalang.
I don't remember her last
Anyway,
name.
she loved us. She did an entire piece on furries and what we were about. Thanks for coming.
Yes.
And it was really awesome. We also had, Tori, what was that episode, that show that's filming Lelia? You guys know Lelia Spaniel? She's the...
Maybe.
I don't remember. Lelia Spaniel, she's a spaniel that jumps around. She has little green bows, and she's precious. She's one
Yeah.
of our agents. We actually had a film crew from a CNN show, and I can't remember what it's called. They delve into unique and interesting subcultures. And they went to Anthro Northwest and followed her around. They followed her around at some of our events. People were really concerned because they're scared that they're going to spin it and twist it and make it look like a terrible thing. I told them if they were trying to do that, they wouldn't be following Lelia because she's squeaky clean, wonderful. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to
Thank
see
you for
more
coming.
and more media showing the good side. because we are becoming more and more mainstream.
Yeah.
As the younger generation's coming up and you guys are living on the internet, more of you guys are finding out, and therefore more parents are finding out, and thus it spreads. People are starting to know what a furry is. You got media like Zootopia, which isn't technically a furry movie.
Thank you.
It's a good movie outside of the furry fandom. I was not excited for it because furries were blowing it up.
It
I was
was
like,
totally
this
aimed
gonna
towards
suck.
furries.
I don't want to see Zootopia. And then I saw it and I was like, man, that was a good movie.
Yeah, it was so good.
All right, anyone else?
Yeah,
have questions?
more questions?
Like,
Anybody?
you guys deal
Maybe
with-
everybody.